welcome back to the show, returning champion, Heather Hale. How are you? How are you doing, Heather?
In the corner. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for coming back. You are a busy bee. So now you're back with your, we're going to talk a little bit about your second book, Story Selling, but you were original guest on Indie Film Hustle in episode 240, talking about how to work the markets.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were a big hit. A lot of people loved that episode. So when I heard about your new book, I was like, well, we got to have Heather back to talk about this. Because if out of just for my own personal, I just have so many questions. So I'm dying to ask. So for people who don't know who you are and didn't listen to that first episode, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into the film business?
Yeah. So I'm a writer, director, producer, film and television, and I have about 5 broken stories because everybody has to break in and re-break in and re-break in. So I think I'm about to do my next one. Yeah. So I guess my big break-in was The Courage to Love, which was a $5.5 million Lifetime original movie that Vanessa Williams, Stacey Keach, Gil Bellows, and Diane Carroll was in. That's the big one.
I got
and
you
then
in.
I did a bunch of other little things, like a couple PBS series that won Emmys, and Lifestyle Magazine that I'm still doing. It's a TV talk show that won some tellies and ACE Awards, and just I did a lot of infomercials, commercials, trade, industrials, you name it.
So you've been hustling. You've been hustling.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
So, all right. So let's talk a little bit about selling your story. So how does one, what advice do you have to develop a marketable story or screenplay or project?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is.
It depends on where you're at in the process. It depends on where you're at in your career. It depends on the kind of project. So that's a pretty broad question, but it's, of course, a question everybody has. Mm-hmm. So I think a huge part of it is knowing what your concept is and knowing who would buy it and who would watch it. So what are your distribution channels? Is it a limited event series? Is it a contained thriller or an indie feature? Is it an indie feature? Is it something that could be a 1-hour drama, comedy, sketch comedy? What is this monster that you're selling? And then who are the likely buyers or the prospects that would be contenders for financing, distribution, attachments, actors, directors? Who are the people that could come on board as part of that daisy chain that get the momentum going, to get it pushed up the hill? I think I said this in the last time. I feel like Sisyphus the octopus, just pushing like 8 rocks up the hill. So that's how I always feel. So I think it's being able to identify what the gem of the concept is, mm-hmm. and who's going to care. Who's going to care enough to fund millions or pay $12? Like, who's going to care and want to see that, and how do you get it to them? And what's the best way to pitch it to them?
And that can work pretty much on almost any level. I mean, even if it's a small micro budget film, you're just pitching it to somebody who you want to work for very little on the movie. It could be a DP, it could be an actor that you want to bring on board, it could be anybody, or it could be
you want to shoot in their restaurant, mm-hmm. or you want them to donate Gatorade, like whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all part of the same thing. Everyone always thinks that you have to sell your story, or selling your story or your project is all about millions and millions of dollars and getting, Steven Spielberg to executive produce. Yes, there are those, but more likely it's like going down to the local pizza joint that you talk to all the time. Like, look, this is what I'm doing, and getting and those skills that you have to kind of build.
Yeah, can I use your restaurant after hours? Would you give us a really good deal on your cameras? Whatever. You need beg, borrow, steal, everything. And getting that star to come for one day, whatever it is. It's pitching it in the best light possible and angling it so that your approach strategy is appropriate for whatever it is you're asking for from whoever that prospect is.
Well, let me ask you a question. When I first started, my very first short film that I did, I turned it into kind of like, I was a nobody with no real background other than shooting a few commercials. This is years ago. And I was trying to put together a small short film, which was going to be around an $8,000 short film in Florida. And I made it into this kind of, I even at that, this book, of course, wasn't available then. And a lot of these concepts weren't even talked about back then. Yeah. But
I wrote it because I needed to read it 20 years ago too. So I'm
right.
with you. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I would have loved to read this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but what I did was, because I was like, I'm a nobody from nowhere and I got to put together a team to make this movie. So what I did is made it kind of like an extravaganza in a sense, like it's a really big, ambitious action film with a lot of visual effects. And I started getting artwork commissioned to make it look good. And I just started building up a bigger thing than it was. I was treating it like it was an X-Men movie, like I was treating it like a real big budget movie, even though it was a small movie. And that attracted talent to the piece because nobody else in my area was doing anything like that.
Perception is reality, right?
Exactly. So is that kind of a good plan? Because I know a lot of people listening might have a little short film or a little micro budget film, and to kind of create this kind of buzz about it and kind of create like, wow, I want to be a part of that craziness.
Yeah, I think, everyone wants to be a part of the next great thing. Everyone wants to not have missed out. It's like that FOMO, fear of missing out. If you were the one who didn't get that opportunity. I have a friend who was next door neighbors with Bill Gates. And when Bill Gates was a kid, he asked him for $4,000 to buy his first computer. And he said no. So, that we all have missed the boat. I was just listening to the Jim Patterson masterclass, and he said 39 people turned down his first novel.
Yeah.
And the truth is, are those 39 people wrong? Maybe. But 39 people who are supposedly professionals in the industry missed the boat on being the publisher for James Patterson. Mm-hmm. So you need people to think you're the next big thing. And even if you're not the next big thing, like the hot ingenue or whatever, that project might be Indie Spirit Award worthy, Sundance Buzz worthy. Is it going to be like, you look at distributors, and of course distributors want to see A-list talent, but they also love to see a good stable, an ensemble of solid talent where they know that the bar of acting ability is going to be raised to that level, or that the DP or the costume designer, whoever the key department heads are, that those are rock solid people. So if you can create this ensemble around you, that you're the weak link in the constellation, you're going to be able to pitch the strength of your team and kind of try to parlay some traction off of that, of everybody's communal efforts.
Isn't it true though? Like I've seen so many, and I've done it myself, so many projects pitched around, really high end, below the line people, like really excellent editors, really excellent DPs who have really, they're the really, but that gives you like as a young filmmaker or an inexperienced filmmaker, they're like, look, I have the vision, but these are my craftsmen. These are the people who are going to execute my vision. So at least at minimum, it's going to look and sound and look good. And so that make investors and even studios sometimes, depending on what type of studio it is, a little bit happier, right?
Yeah, you've surrounded yourself with people who are going to make sure that you deliver good quality. Same thing with if you're an actor or an actress trying to write yourself a role and put up the money and buy yourself the role, that is a strategy that works for lots of people. Surround yourself with the best of everything. Let yourself be the weak. I always think you should be the weakest player on the bench. Then your game is always raised to the players around you. So just make sure you get the very best you can secure, and then pitch your heart out of, look at all these great people that you couldn't have afforded, but I've got at this scale because they all want to help me.
And isn't it true as well that when you land that one actor or that one key person below the line, they are the ones that nobody wants to be the first to the party. So
same thing with money. No one wants to be first money in. They all want to be first money out. It's tough. You can often get second and third money, but who's the first to jump in the pool?
And I don't know if this is even legal or not, but let's say your mom and dad are going to invest in your business. Can you just say, we have investors already. We already have money in?
We'll do that all the time. I know someone who has $500,000 and he or she told me behind the scenes, it's mom and dad, nobody cares. It's confidence. It's just all smoke and mirrors, and it's not just smoke and mirrors. I mean, you want to take care of anyone else's money like it was your own. Mm-hmm. And you're going to take care of mom and dad's money because that's not necessarily your own in retirement or your own inheritance, but it's your parents. So I think you want everyone to know that you honor the fiduciary relationship that you have, and that you're going to do the very best you can in every department, in every element, and make everyone have faith and confidence in you. And you got to pitch and pitch and pitch your heart out every which way.
Now let's talk a little bit about screenwriters, because I know screenwriters unfortunately have the worst luck to have to pitch their wares, and many
Yeah.
times they don't have those visual
Yep.
stimulation or videos or ripomatics or any
Yeah.
of those things. What are the biggest mistakes you see screenwriters when they're pitching their scripts?
Well, I have a lot of ideas for that. And I also think that times have changed. So they used to say, don't use any key art when you're pitching a screenplay. That's sort of true, sort of not true. We talked about this in the other book, How to Work the Markets. But basically, don't use shitty key art, right?
Fair
That's
enough.
it, right? Because most of what comes is awful. So it's okay to use key art. It's also okay to turn down the 12 students who want you to use their key art and use nothing. As a writer, I worked on projects where I was a judge of a bunch of competitions, and the people came in, and what the writer, the creator pitched verbally and on the page was so much better than the chintzy budget that they could swing for some trailer or sizzle reel. Like, don't if it's not fantastic, don't give that, because your words should be able to sing. You're a writer. That's what he expects you to be, a fantastic writer. The reverse is true as well. I've seen lots of slick, beautiful, high-end ad agency quality pitch decks and sizzle reels where the idea wasn't good, right? The story wasn't there. The characters were no good. It wasn't fresh. It wasn't original. So people can see through that. So as a writer, just write the best stuff you can. So then beyond that, you can use things like, you don't have to have a photo shoot. You can use things like unsplash.com, and there's a ton of others that's free images. So just get the image that captures some beautiful photographer who's done it for free and given it to you. Also, you can use any image you want in a pitch deck, right? You're not selling it. It's not necessarily going on the internet. And even if it goes on the internet, it can be password protected. So you can grab images off other things. And that's, another thing people can do, what's called a ripomatic. Instead of shooting a short film and editing your proof of concept for your feature film or your TV show, grab images of A-list stars with the kind of production value you're wanting to communicate, and then just do a voiceover that kind of unifies it. So it's telling your story, and they know that the Brad Pitt that changes even to Will Smith, that changes to whomever, that's the character we're tracking. And then they can visualize in their mind's eye an A-list actor with that kind of production value. Or don't worry about it. Just have it written, on the written page, or grab images. I've done things where wherever the set is, maybe it's Martha's Vineyard, maybe it's the Wild West, you grab images that conjure that sense of place and time and that milieu, and then don't worry about the actors so much. I have a project where it's an ensemble cast, and of course we have whoever the hottie of the week is, male and female, right? Whoever they are. I'm not going to say who they are because it'll get dated, but your veteran actors, some of your character actors, those are some of the anchors that maybe you're going to stunt cast a cameo for a day or two. So maybe in your fantasy you get Frances McDormand and Kevin Costner. All right, cool. And then we'll cast whoever the stars are, but those are the anchor that are going to let you know the caliber of acting involved.
Yeah, I've edited many a ripomatic in my day for clients it's a kind of it's an art form, first of all, but also
Total art form.
but it's also something that not many people even know about. It's not a very known thing, a ripomatic, where I literally would go to Seven and Fight Club, and I would, because it was a dark thriller-esque thing, and I would just grab images of Brad Pitt, and I actually carried Brad Pitt through multiple movies in the trailer. And there's a lot of those kind of things, like these faux trailers on YouTube now that they do for fun. But
I have a ton on my website. So I have heatherhale.com/story selling, and I have ripomatic examples, and any that you have I'll put tons more up there. So I keep trying to put things that are good examples. So, and there are lots of, and the faux ones are fantastic, because if you've ever seen the trailers that take something like The Shining and turn it into romantic comedy.
Oh, those are the best.
Right? But look at what it teaches you about images and juxtaposition of images and music and lighting. Like, you lighten it up to a different color palette and suddenly it's not The Shining anymore. Or you take some, Wes Anderson thing and make it gritty, film noirish. Like, that's how you can change what we think the genre is and who the target audience is. So I talk a lot about, in both books, reverse engineering from your comps, your film and television examples that are similar or they have the same sensibility or same target audience? And what can you learn from their taglines, from their keywords? And are you pushing the boundaries in unique and interesting ways? Are you colliding ideas so that what comes up is fresh and in your wheelhouse really specifically? And I think all of these marketing materials, whether it's a pitch deck that's like a PowerPoint, whether it's a proposal in Microsoft Word or PDF, whether it's a sizzle reel or rip-o-matic, whatever, an animatic, all those things are just to communicate the idea that's in your mind's eye to kind of emulate the viewing experience for your prospect.
Now, can you tell everybody, we just want to go down the line, what is a pitch deck, so you can explain to people what a pitch deck is exactly?
I think this is all changing all the time because we have a whole generation of students who can edit what 20, 30 years ago. I mean, it's a whole different world. And so we have a very visual, multimedia savvy, social media savvy generation, plus veterans that have been in the business for a long time and have done things in a different way. So I'm not sure that anybody knows this exactly, but in the book, Story Selling especially, I really tried to say, here's what a synopsis is, here's what a summary is, here's what a logline is. You're going to hear a ton of different examples of what a treatment, scriptment, all these words. But pitch, to me, when I think of pitch deck, I think of a deck of cards, and I think of a stack of images. So I think PowerPoint for pitch deck. That doesn't make it right or wrong. It can be saved as a PDF and sent in different ways, but I think image, image, image with very little writing in a pitch deck, right? I did a fantastic pitch deck for a project, and then they wanted to know what were the episode synopses. They wanted all the words. After I went to all this effort to make this great image-rich thing, I had to turn around and end up doing character breakdowns. Here's where each episode would begin and end. Here's our cliff notes, cliffhangers. So to me, a pitch package is any one of these things. It's the package of the material. And a proposal might be more like a series Bible, where you might have, here's a synopsis of the pilot. Here are the key episodes that we're going to talk about. If it's a limited series, you might have all of them. And so in the proposal, you're putting everything, and it's a proposal to someone. Mm-hmm. Is it to a product placement company? Is it to a director? Is it to a star? Is it to someone playing a small supporting role that's really key and they're an A-lister and you're going after them, and then you're going to pitch it? Like, I don't know if you've seen the new, I don't know if it's called Karate Kid, but the new Karate Kid series.
Oh, you mean the Cobra Kai?
Cobra Kai.
Yes, fantastic.
They pitched that, right, but they pitched it wildly differently to each of those actors, right? Because to one actor, it was his chance. He was the victim. He was the one that had the illegal kick to the head, right? So it was totally pitched differently to each of them to get them to feel like they were the protagonists of their stories.
Where they might be the antagonists.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. If you're pitching to someone who's got it's a fantastic bit part, but they're only in 2 episodes of maybe a 10-episode limited series, you're pitching that key role. None of the rest of it really matters because they're not even there. So you have to make sure that it's what's in it for me and what's relevant to me about this.
So it's you're custom making pitches per person or person or thing.
But honestly, 85 to 90% is the same, right? You're just taking out some stuff and shifting it. So I've started doing pitch decks and proposals. And then I don't normally have the ability for a sizzle reel. I mean, I can do rip-o-matics and things, but my editing skills are on the upswing. I'm acquiring them. So if I have someone on the team who's a great editor, that's fantastic. I grab images and I'll give like an AV time code script of this would be great. This clip, this clip, this clip, and here's how we could pull this together. But for my purposes, I can usually do it with images I've grabbed off the internet, which, I'm sure everybody knows, but right click and you can use it. You don't need rights. You don't need to pay for it. Get the highest res you can, and then, make it smaller and wrap your text around it. And you can make a really beautiful presentation that really hits the high notes. And on the website, I have a bunch of examples of everything too.
And we'll put those in the show notes without question. And then a sizzle reel, because that's also another mystery like a rip-o-matic. What is a sizzle reel exactly?
Well, if you think of a trailer, the trailer for a movie, say, for example, is often, unfortunately, beginning, middle, and end, and it gives away all the best moments and it ruins the spoilers, right? Yeah. That's typical bad trailer, but it gets butts in the seats of the cinema. A trailer for, let's say, Jane the Virgin for this week will be this week. They're not going to tell you about the pilot. They're not going to tell you about the whole season. It's just what's coming up. So if you're, or Game of Thrones, whatever it is that you're, binge watching, if you happen to be watching it weekly on, say, broadcast television, it's this upcoming week, or like America's Got Talent. Here's who's in the semifinals. Whatever it is that's coming up, that's the trailer. A sizzle reel might be the whole season. Here's the whole asset that, like, if you were selling a TV show that you've put in a can, let's think like The Dog Whisperer. It might be clips of the whole 5 or 10 years, or Big Bang Theory. It might be, they might be selling that to other countries, and that sizzle reel is the whole season, or the whole series, or the whole anthology series. You think of True Detective, American Horror Story. So it's not telling you what's coming up next week. It's not telling you the whole story like a trailer might, or a trailer should tease. So they're all different ways of teasing. It's just how much content of the asset are they teasing. And even as I give you all those definitions, they could all be wrong for a different kind of project. It's just, I love the saying, sell the sizzle, not the steak.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You just want to tease and intrigue them so they want to come back. They want to. It's like a log line is to get them to ask to read the script. If a log line gets them to ask to read the synopsis,
mm-hmm.
they've just asked for the second hurdle. Like, you want to always go for the close. So you're trying to get them to ask to read the script, ask to see your screener, ask to get to the next step. And if you can't get them to make that leap, what's the very best next thing that will hopefully keep driving towards your goal?
Now, how do you construct the pitch? I know that's also a loaded question because it depends on what kind of pitch it is. But let's say a screenwriter is going to go into a pitch meeting with, a potential producer or studio. How do you construct the pitch? Like, because some of them will go in there and talk for 30 minutes. You're like, nope.
Yep.
So how do you do it?
And I talk a great deal in the book about different kinds of pitches, different kinds of projects, different environments. So the pitch for an on the studio lot meeting, an official pitch meeting that might be 30 minutes long, where everybody in the room has read your writer's Bible, your series Bible. They might have even read the screenplay. Like, mm-hmm. Sometimes you go in and you're pitching after the fact where everybody's read everything. And then other times you're doing a pitch fest event or virtual pitch fest thing where it's 5 minutes. It's a total stranger and you got to, do your whole elevator pitch and don't even have time to build rapport. So I think it depends on what you're pitching. Character-driven projects are going to be pitched quite differently than a plot-driven project. Mm-hmm. A high-concept project is going to be quite differently pitched, something that might be a famous novel or a famous life story, somewhere where we have some point of reference. That's going to be quite differently pitched than some original worldview of like a Juno. Right? And it's a whole, you have to know the world and the person. And so it depends on what it is you're pitching. Same thing with a pilot. A pilot for whether it's a comedy or drama, it's going to be very much about that driving protagonist, because it might be a serial, it might be episodic, who knows, but are we going to want to tune into this character week after week? And then in the book, I go through everything, including reality TV, game shows, documentaries, everything. So it depends on, too, do you know anything about the people you're pitching to? Sometimes who you're pitching to, you can Google them and you have a good feel for who's going to be in the room. I give strategies for how to find out who's going to be in the room. Sometimes you're completely prepared and who's in the room has changed by the time you get there. Like I had a deal with NBC when Comcast was acquiring NBC Universal. So I had a 4-year deal, and you would go in and who you thought you were pitching to and you'd done all your research on was different. And I even went in and pitched one day and they had to call it off because of the stock shares and who they were acquiring, and they couldn't hear, there's all sorts of stuff going on. Same thing with an investor. Are they legit? Are they real? Are they not? It's just sometimes hard to know who you're pitching to. So you want to make sure that you're prepared to kind of lead off with some top notes. I often think of like an overture in a musical or an opera. It's like boom, 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 skipping a rock across the water so that they get a sense that there's going to be gunplay, there's going to be some fight choreography, there's going to be this epic romance. we get a sense of the type of things we're going to be seeing, and then you do a deep dive into the character that you're pitching to, maybe the visuals and cinematics to a director, maybe why there's a great affinity target audience to an investor. It depends on what you're pitching to, why, who, and why. And that's another thing I talk about is like in journalism, the who, what, where, when, why. Like, think about those things. And so in the book, I did what I thought was a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of readers read it, and they loved it. I'm not tooting my own horn. I just was really thought every minute, what did I wish I had 20 years ago? What do storytellers need to have? And so I did all these worksheets and spreadsheets, and here's how to break it down. I have some stuff from Blake Snyder in there that would Save the Cat and all the genres, and here's an approach for log lines. And if you don't like that, no worries. Here's how to break down a tagline. Here's how to use irony. Here's how all the different ways of going from log line to synopsis to pitch deck to video, all the different ways, because you might have to go backwards and forwards. And that's a big premise of the book is as you refine and hone your marketing materials, it becomes real glaring where your problems are in your script, right? It becomes real clear. So you're rewriting and developing as you're marketing and as you're pitching. And when you pitch and people are confused, it's probably a problem in the script, or a missed opportunity. When someone laughs when they're not supposed to, there's a gap they're waiting for that you should go back and rewrite your script. And not that you should, be influenced by all that, but it's not art until someone encounters it, right? Mm-hmm. So what you think is in your head might be quite different. Like I don't know if I told you this in the last one, but I had a thriller class with Neil Hicks at UCLA that I loved. And he gave us this exercise in class, and it was, what do you want? So one character asked the other character, what do you want? And my brother, his wife had just come out of the closet. So this had rocked the world of our family. And so I wrote, what do you want? A divorce. Because to me, it was a very melodramatic, poignant thing. So I wrote this little exercise, and I wrote a divorce, and I did this dialogue back and forth. And then he asked us to read it. So here's my family processing this challenging thing. And as I'm reading it, the class is in hysterics laughing, like it was a spoof or comedy. And I was too embarrassed to, I could have cried with how embarrassed I was, but I just kept reading it. And at the end, Neil Hicks said, that is some of the best comedy writing we've ever heard. So they talk about pain plus time, right? Well, I hadn't even had the time to see the humor in it. But it just shows you that what you think you're expressing, somebody else might be getting something quite different based on their worldview or the juxtaposition of what you've put together. So it's all about your delivery and their discovery, and is there a gap there? And is that a missed opportunity, or do you need to refine your presentation?
Now, and would you agree that sometimes if you are lucky enough to walk into an office or someone's home or pitching an investor or something like that, and you haven't had a chance to do your research because you didn't know who that person was, that if you do scan that room and see what they have in the room, like, oh, they're Laker fans. Oh, they got an autographed picture of Muhammad Ali. Oh, they've got, things on the wall, like to kind of like quickly do a profile in your head about them and try to connect or create rapport with them in one way, shape, or form before you even start the pitch, even if it's for a couple minutes. Does that make sense?
That's actually an age-old sales technique called fish on the wall technique. And you walk in and you see the big marlin on the wall and you go, hey, did you catch that? And it opens up a chance for them to talk about something that they love. You may see a photo cube and say, oh, your son's so cute. He plays soccer. Well, yeah, now he's in college because that picture is from when they were 5 or 8 or whatever. But still you have a frame of reference. I often suggest people wear ice-breaking jewelry, or like your shirt is the who.
Yeah.
Who is it? The camp?
Yeah, the camp. Yeah, it's just a word. It's something, yeah.
Well, what is it though?
It's just a place you work out.
Yeah, but I mean, so then we begin to have something to talk about and hustle. Your baseball cap, indie film hustle, right?
Yeah.
So same thing. I'm not wearing anything good, but if I had like a Native American project and I had turquoise jewelry and someone said, "Oh, I love that. Oh, actually, it's the Anastasi." Like boom, and you go right into your story, right? I often try to think of what could I wear that will make them. And good example, I used to go down every year to the marlin fishing tournament in Cabo San Lucas, where lots and lots of millionaires and billionaires are, and it's like 25,000 just to fish, right? So I would carry the bag from last year's tournament so that when I was at LAX and you're in this little teeny terminal going to Cabo San Lucas, everyone knew you were going there. And so by the time you got there, you had met a few people on the plane. You had to switch to a smaller plane. They all knew Cabo San Lucas. They saw the Bisbee black and blue. And then by the time you're on the shuttle, which they always stop at someone's house, the cousin's gas station for beer, you have made 5, 6, 8 friends before you even got into the hotel. Same thing with like the American Film Market, NatP, these things. If you bring last year's bag and you're at the Lowe's Hotel, people know that you're in that milieu, in that world. So whatever it is that you've got, I wouldn't be wearing costumes, but if you have a T-shirt or a baseball cap, something. But even I have like some really cool jewelry from the Isle of Murano that's like glass blown. And then you can talk about, you can figure out a way to have an anecdote that drives you to your story. It's just a way to shortcut.
I've heard of some of the most horrible pitches I've ever heard. I'd love to hear one of your ones you've heard. But like people like literally dressing up, sending Chippendale dancers to agents. It's not a good thing, and it generally does not work. If you're just trying to get attention for attention's sake, that kind of stunt stuff, it can work. But from what I mean, again, always if it's done properly, if it's done well, and it's just generally not done well.
A million examples are going through my head, and the two that we could talk all day about bad pitches because I've done a million pitch fests. I've planned and organized millions and whatever.
Sure.
But two that come to mind. One was a stripper who did a lap dance as part of her pitch. Okay.
Sure. Get it.
It's
fine.
It's a pre-Me Too, clearly. But
you think?
Every guy in town wanted to hear that pitch. He had no interest in her script. So she had to schlep around all over town doing lap dances for what? Like that's not going to help you. Another one, this might be incredibly politically incorrect, but I will tell you. Someone came up to me. This was 15, 20 years ago, and I think it was a female to male transgender, and he was saying that he didn't want, that it was a true story, it was his story, and he didn't want people taking the meeting just to see what he looked like, right? It was 20 years ago, so it was less, it was more rare then. And I said to him, not to be disrespectful, but I wish I had a hook like that. And then the guy laughed. He's like, you know what, you're right. Like, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. So it's not the same as the stripper doing it. It's like you get in the room, that's the hook. Okay, now is the story there. So there's always a hook. There's always an angle. Like I said, I have a million stories of people who've done good jobs, bad jobs. It is what it is. I did one with the Martha's Vineyard project where I went in to pitch to I think it was NBC's Blue Sky Network, USA. Mm-hmm. So it was USA, and there was 2 different execs I was pitching to, and they each had a different assistant. And so I was doing a lot of coordinating, trying to get the 2 of them in the room. And so the day that I came, I took chocolate bars from Martha's Vineyard for the 2 assistants. So it was a little brown nosing, but it was kind of project specific. They would remember. It was just a thank you. I gave it to them off to the side. And I think little touches like that are very personal and nice. And then they remember that. So I think there's a lot of things you can do that are within the scope of not just common courtesy, but like I think of, I lived in Japan a year. They do omiyage where they bring a taste of the season. So that was bringing a little taste of Martha's Vineyard for this comedy that we were pitching to their bosses.
In my book, I actually went around Hollywood pitching with a mobster. With the book I wrote a little bit ago, and that was my hook. Like I was sitting at the Chateau Marmont with some of the biggest actors in the world purely because they just wanted to have a dinner or a coffee or a drink with the mobster, and he never disappointed. Right. So right. You use what you got, I guess.
That's the same thing. Like I was talking with the transgender guy. Like I'm not making any kind of a judgment. Just that there will be that curiosity, looky-loo, kicking tires. It sucks, but why not use it, So
Mhm.
if you've got a mafioso that's willing to come with you and schmooze, have at it, right? It gets you.
I don't think there is a mafioso that wouldn't come around
It's
and
not good enough.
schmooze and
Yeah,
schmooze in Hollywood. Are you kidding?
yeah. Hit shorty.
Yes, they are definitely pitch worthy without question.
Right,
Now,
right, right.
now, how do you research potential buyers for either your screenplay or potential projects? Because a lot of people just have no idea where to even begin with just searching who's going to
Yeah,
want this.
yeah. So I cover that real extensively in both books, and probably that's probably my superhero skill is
Okay.
my dad was a spy and I was almost a spy, so I don't know if you knew that.
Nice. No, I
I
didn't.
actually I interviewed with the CIA in Arlington, Virginia for a week when I was 19 years old. So my dad was so my dad was in the Secret Service, and so I am
How
like
cool.
spidey skills in research and due diligence. So a couple things I learned. Unfortunately for Sony, they had that huge
Yeah.
WikiLeak.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know this, but this is a terrible tip to give people, but it's true. And once it's on the internet, it's out there forever. If you're trying to track down contact information for someone, like let's say it's at CAA.com, like
Yeah.
the
Yep.
domain name, right? And their name. If you put in Alex Ferrari plus at indiefilmhustle.com, something like that, and just do a search for that, what I found was a gold mine of all the Sony press releases that pulled up that person's name that had whatever their actual email address was below, because it came up on all these different documents. And now you've got their contact information. So that's better
Wow.
than Variety Insight. That's better than IMDb Pro. It's the stuff they're using internally. So I shouldn't share that because I'll scramble to change it. But that's been an amazing resource for contact info. But I also do, like, I'm sure you have run into investors who are not investors
No, never. They're all on the up
in
and up.
Hollywood. Right, right, right.
They all have
Eh,
millions. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. They say it's only 5 million. I don't. That's no problem at all. I could do 5 million in my sleep. I don't even
well,
get
could you
up
pick
for
up
less.
lunch?
But I
Yeah,
can't pick up lunch right now. I can't
right.
pick up lunch.
And their shoes are cheap from Payless, right? So
Not there's anything wrong with Payless
not that there's
shoes,
anything wrong with Payless.
but if you're saying you have $5 million
Exactly.
to invest, you shouldn't have Payless shoes.
That's all I'm saying. Because we can have shoes from Payless because we're asking for 5 million.
Exactly.
So exactly. So something else I've started to do is put in the name plus scam plus scandal plus fraud plus and find out, because someone somewhere will have said this guy's a total fraud. It's a scam. So using those search terms, become a world class internet search person, because you'd be amazed what you find. And even if you find, who is it? Zuckerberg.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who has 10 million friends is bound to have a few enemies. You're bound to find some dirt on anybody. So you can see if it's legit or not. You can see that. So, but finding out what they've done, I had an example where I won't use I won't use any names, but basically somebody tried to bully me, and they won, into optioning one of my best projects, saying that they had um, produced a little movie called, and then I won't say what it is because it's going to be too easy to track down. But they had produced a little movie called XYZ. And then when I did some due diligence, they had been the second unit producer, well, second unit line producer.
Oh my God.
So I had optioned, I should have, at the time, this was I should have gone into the bathroom and IMDb'd to see that they were second unit line producer. That's quite different than,
Even if
and
you're
it's one thing.
first line producer, that doesn't mean
Exactly.
anything.
A wild difference to cut checks out of a checking account that somebody else got money into,
Sure.
right? So just do your due diligence like crazy. And then unfortunately, and I found this, if you find someone who has a company name that's really common, odds are they chose it because it's really common and you can never quite suss them out. So you just, there's so many people playing Hollywood. Like if I could go back in time and clean my calendar of all the people who wasted my time, do you know how
Oh,
much we have, like, Pulitzer Prize, Nobel winning projects, right? Because we would have all that time back. So do your due diligence and, pay attention to red flags, because red flags don't get better.
Yes,
Make
without question.
black.
But
Yeah.
I am shocked to hear all these stories about the business.
I,
I could never imagine something like that happening in
right.
our business.
I
No,
know. In
it's
art,
in art. This is shocking, shocking.
shocking, shocking that someone and that's the problem is a lot of people are playing Hollywood. They
Everybody,
want to pretend like
95% are playing Hollywood, I would
yeah,
say.
are playing Hollywood. So you need to figure out are they I mean it's one thing like I have respect for the guy who's trying to fund his fluff's breakthrough.
Mhm.
Fine. If you're going to put up money for or whoever, their son, their daughter, if they're going to put up money to get a break for someone, I'm all over it. Let's surround them with the best talent. Let's get you your money back. Like let's just be honest about what we're trying to do here. But it's
Mhm.
when the people are playing Hollywood, they don't really have the money. So, I'm a former mortgage banker, so I'm pretty good at tracking down to see if people have the money or not. Because in mortgage banking, you have to do proof of funds. If you ask for proof of funds, a legit investor will give you proof of funds.
Yeah.
They may block out the account number. They may
Mhm.
have it just be a letter of from the bank manager saying that they have X number of digits. It's none of your business, but just some third party verification. Lots of ways to prove that. So it's exhausting. Like if
I could see it in your face just talking about it. You're exhausted about it.
the number, like I was involved. I'll tell you two things, and we got to move on because I'll just get sick to my stomach. So I won a Senate commendation from California State Senate for helping San Juan Capistrano stay out of the junk bond scandal when Orange County filed bankruptcy. San Juan Capistrano was the only city to not be dragged through that.
Hmm.
And so I was the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. I was really actively involved in saving a historic building, yada, yada, yada. But we saw that coming like a train wreck. Like there are signals. There was also a company, and I'll go ahead and say it because it was a big deal, Quest Financial, that pulled a scam on lots and lots of films. I won't mention them, but they are films you will have heard of. We thought we had 30 million raised. We thought we had money in escrow. And I actually had the FBI call me and say, can you
Oh.
help us? Like I was involved in that investigation because I was the one company that pulled out and I said to my partners who are all high profile, I say, I guarantee you in the 11th hour, they're going to switch escrow companies. They're going to say there was a problem with the wire. They have to switch escrow companies. And what's going to happen is people who are supposed to put skin in the game who have to put just 400,000, right? Because you're getting 30 million. This is your skin in the game. You're going to go and that's going to not be, that building won't be there because there will be fraud. So I try to help them figure this all out. But unfortunately, not a week goes by. You think of the people who are, all those internet scams with that you inherited money, that all this stuff,
Nigerian prince, yes.
Nigerian prince, or even the social security scams that are going on. Unfortunately, it goes on in our business all the time where people say they're going to hire you as a line producer for a project and they're going to wire you money and you need to buy equipment. The equipment is going to somebody else. That's cash out of your account because the funds bounced. So the scams are just
Massive.
It is exhausting.
I'll tell you my FBI story if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
First and
We got all of
foremost,
our acronyms going, right?
yes.
CIA,
So
FBI.
the worst, and I've never spoken about this on any of my shows because it's just never come up. But it's not
Long. Yeah.
it's not something that you actually talk about a lot. But I was called by the FBI, which is not a phone call you want to get because when you get it, you're like, "Hi, this is the FBI." I'm like, "No, who is this?" And they're like, "Sir, we're the FBI." We're like, "Oh God," and they're like, "Were you attached to this Did you work on these projects with these producers?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I worked in post." And I just like, "We're flying down to interview you. They've been indicted, and we want to see if we're going to use you as a witness, and we just want to hear your side of the story. Not your side. I'm not in trouble."
You're like,
but,
hang on, let me just check with my mafioso, see what my schedule
yeah, exactly.
is.
This is thankfully years later, and my documentation of the mafia story. The mafia story has been documented in my book, which is available. I'll find bookstores on Amazon as we speak. But this was a completely separate thing. I mean, this is probably about 10 years later. But man, and then I had him come over. We had to sit down and we talked over a coffee. No. They didn't come to my house. We met at a coffee shop. I'm like, hey, come over, and we sat down. And then afterwards, after they felt that like, okay, this guy was absolutely not involved with anything, and it was cool. Then of course I'm talking. I'm like, so do you watch the X-Files? Area 51, is it real? Come on, tell me. And they just start laughing. They just start pissing themselves. But it's a serious thing. Another project that was involved with, the director went to jail because he defrauded tax incentives because he told the state that he paid an actor $6 million when he actually only paid him $600,000.
Right, and probably pocketed the difference.
And pocketed the difference, and then all of a sudden he's in jail for 5 years.
But that's hurting not just the IRS, but it's also hurting your investors. It's hurting the project. It's hurting the star. Everyone's pissed at the star because he's making $6 million when he's only making $600,000. Like the lies that go backwards and forwards is, like I said, exhausting. And I will say, not just in sales, there is, like we talked about at the beginning, you have to project that you're bigger than you are. You have to buy Payless shoes on the first day and wear them before they get scuffed and fall apart. Like you have to, it's all smoke and mirrors. So there are people who are hammering their crew down saying that their budget is $600,000, and they turn around and tell the investor or the distributor that it's $1 million project. Well, that is Trump, because the distributor will say, well, it's $1 million. We're only going to give you $600,000. Well, now you're good, right? But then the crews find out it's $1 million project. You owe me a quarter more an hour, and then they're striking. Like it's tough. It's tough. It's a balancing.
It's a balancing act with that kind of stuff. But we have gone off the rails here, which is but it's fantastic because actually it's all very, very good information for people listening.
Real.
Listen, you and I have been around the business for a long time. We've seen a lot of stuff, and I tell you, some people have not. Like I know people right now listening to this podcast, their minds are blown completely by some of the things that you and I take for granted because we've experienced it so many times. But out there, that's who they're marking. That's their mark. The guy or the girl listening right now.
I think in the last podcast about the thing I overheard at the market, right? About them skimming off the top of the SAG bond.
No, don't tell us that.
So I was at the American film market, and I overheard one distributor training a wet behind the ears, another distributor, sales agent, basically saying that the contract should read that they make a commission off all proceeds. So what that means is how you put up a SAG bond, right, to pay all your actors? Yeah. So let's say that bond is $1 million, $200,000, depends on whatever your budget is.
Sure.
You put up that bond to guarantee SAG-AFTRA that you will pay your actors. So when that refund of your bond, your savings account that you had to deposit that you have allocated to pay payroll comes back through the account, they take a commission off the top of you getting your own deposit back. So and they're teaching one another how to screw independent filmmakers. So you just got to watch. I know.
Shocking. I can't. A distributor? Never. I thought they were the creme of the creme. Never a distributor.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just. I'm not jaded. I love what we do. We are lucky to get to tell stories, to connect. I love it. You just have to pay attention to the daisy chain of middlemen in the middle and the people who are not creators. I also find that with agents and managers and entertainment attorneys, and there's a lot of good ones in the business. But by the time there's one creator to another and there's 12, dominoes in the middle, by the time the two creators can talk together, they have a shared vision and they want as much as they can get on the screen. They want to be honest and authentic to the material. It's all the people in the middle who just take a piece off the top. Every time your money changes hands, someone's getting a piece of it. So it's just a tough, tough business. And still we're in
it. And we're still psychotic enough to do this on a daily basis and smile about it because we're all psychotic and we're all a little bit crazy inside.
I often say if I won the lottery, I'd wake up and keep doing what I'm doing. Only it'd be a hell of a lot easier, right? I know exactly what projects I'd be working on and who I'd be hiring. I'd keep doing it. It would just be easier.
It'd be a lot easier without question. Yeah. Now, do you have any marketing tips for screenwriters and also filmmakers to either help them with their own personal brand or the brand of the project. Because I've something like a movie like Kung Fury. I don't know if you ever heard of that movie that did so well that they're actually doing a feature of it now. That was such a well branded. I mean, so brilliantly branded. It was some guy from Sweden, I think, or something like that, who did it. And then so that's a great example of a project branding. But then there's filmmaker branding as well, or screenwriter branding in general. Like, any advice you have for marketing tips on how you can get them out there?
Well, it's funny because, you also, it's the flip side of the coin. The more you brand yourself, the more pigeonholed you are. And then you want to shift from a historical biopic to a thriller. And, oh, that's not what she writes, So I think Jeff Arch, who wrote Sleepless in Seattle, said once at Selling to Hollywood, you get nouns and verbs, right? Nouns and verbs. If you're going to use an adjective, they need to be precious. So with you, with your project, with your brand, make sure that you're thinking of your adjectives as almost SEO, search engine optimization words. Like, is it a hip word that's going to conjure that affinity market, the right age demographic? Are they words that really clearly delineate your worldview, the sensibility? Like, if you think of Wes Anderson or you think of John Grisham, I mean, you can think of Stephen King, you can think of some of these people, or you think of like Jane the Virgin, like it's a kind of a campy telenovela with its tongue in its cheek. Like, it's really fresh in now. I mean, it's been around for a long time. Big Bang Theory, Making Geeks Hot, like all the different things they did, they knew what they were going after and what they were creating. So I think it's the same thing for you. If you have a project is easier to brand than a person, because the person might want to evolve and change. You look at the Beatles and the different influences they incorporated as they evolved, right? So music from India, like whatever it was that they were doing, they were evolving. So I think it's important that you make sure that what the niche you're carving out for that project is really crystal clear to that niche. And that's a huge part of the collaborative process and making sure you're all making the same movie. Right. Even in a writer's group, that you don't have people trying to tug it and tell their story with your script. Like, what is the story you're trying to tell? And make sure you honor that vision. And then beyond that, how do you communicate that? And even, I've done some faith-based things that are not necessarily Christian faith-based, but you want to not alienate people who aren't feeling that. So, how can you kind of play down some elements so that you can get these pieces of the puzzle and then play up those benefits to other people? So it's what are the pieces of the puzzle? Same thing with ethnicity. I always try, I have a couple projects now where the characters are like Jordan or Chris. Could be a girl or a guy. Could be black, white, Asian, Native American. Like, I'm cool with that. So I try to write colorblind, unless it's really important that it's a ginger Scotsman, right? It's got to be something that woman has to be middle-aged or postmenopausal. That's what the story is. So whatever the issue is, but otherwise, can you be colorblind in your writing and your casting, so that now if you're pitching that to an African-American woman to play the lead, that same pitch package could go to an Asian guy to play that same role because it's a thriller and they are an agent or whatever. So it all comes down to who you're pitching to and why. What are you trying to get out of them? Are you trying to get them to fall in love with that role? Are you trying to get them to feel like they're going to make their money back? Are you trying to get them to open their doors after hours for a location? Like, what is the reason what are you trying to do with that?
Excellent. Now, I also want to ask you, because you're out there and you're in the trenches, as they say. What's easy? I know, right? What's
I still one of these days want to not be in the trenches. I want to be like up at the Cannes Film Festival on a balcony, not in the trenches or on a yacht somewhere. But yeah, I'm in the trenches.
I can sense that from you. I can sense it. We all want to be at the top of the mountain with Spielberg and Cameron and all these kind of guys who could just do whatever they want, whenever they want. But until that day comes, we're here huffing it.
Yes, we are.
So as we are here down in the trenches,
these are the good old days. We just don't know it yet, right?
Exactly. These are the stories that we'll tell. These are the stories that we'll tell on the yacht.
Funny ones. Yeah.
No, but so TV projects or feature film projects, what's a good market right now? Where's the most opportunity, or in general, where's there the most opportunity for content creators, screenwriters, filmmakers to make a dent?
Well, I have an opinion, not advice.
Okay.
So I've got lots of opinions. I think no one knows, and if I knew, I'd have a crystal ball and we would be on that yacht having
Sure.
a really fine wine right now. So I'm not saying I'm the oracle. I have my opinions. And my opinion is film and television. When I first wrote the first book, my book proposal said that film and television were converging. And 11 people thought that was really insightful, and one person's like, no, they're not. They're totally different business models. They're totally different. No, they're converging. They're so converging. It's so seamless now. A viewer doesn't care how that content got to them, whether it was satellite or, coaxial cables or cell service. They don't care if it's on an iPhone screen, a big screen. The home cinemas at home are as good as they are, even better than some of the Cineplex at the mall. So that convergence is pretty incredible. What everyone wants, remember in the old days with websites where they called it a sticky website?
Mm-hmm.
They want sticky TV now. And what is TV? Is TV cable broadcast? Is it streaming? Like, what is it? It's just content. It's all content. And so what they want is, whether they're ad supported, whether they're subscription supported models, whether they are, there's so many different models now. What they want is addictive, binge-worthy, marquee value stuff. And so I think the biggest opportunity at the moment is limited event series, anthology series. It's serial programming, whether it's episodic, like look at Black Mirror, which only did 3 episodes, I guess, in their next season, which is kind of odd. But who cares? Like, it's whatever the stories require. So or like Twilight Zone, they're rebooting, these kinds of anthology series where the brand, American Horror Story, True Detective, the genre unifies them. And that you can come back week after week and get that kind of thing. Who knows who's going to be starring in it? Or like 1-hour dramas and serials, your Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, Hulu just won its first Emmy for Handmaid's Tale. So all of these things, they want people who are going to be loyal and come back, whether it's appointment viewing or binge viewing or just wanting to talk about it, because we've had this nonlinear time shift where people don't talk around the water cooler anymore, right? Because you could have seen all of Game of Thrones and I might not have seen any of it. So how do we engage on that? And that's what's happening with your Got Talents all around the world. Is it's live. They want this. It's either got to be live, and you have to be. It's that fear of missing out we're talking about, So again, it depends. Is it reality? Documentaries are having a total resurgence, of renaissance now, because it's easier to find these things. So I think again, it's all about identifying your target audience and being authentic and true to the material. And there's some series out there where one episode is 11 minutes and another one is 44. It's whatever the story needed to be for that chapter. So we have so much freedom as storytellers today. And with the fragmentation of the dial, I often think of millennials going, what dial? Right?
What's a dial?
What's a dial? Like, they don't even know. They don't even have this frame of reference. So we have to be able to shift with that and know that at the end of the day, people, like, there's so many jobs in our industry and around the world in every industry that are being taken over by robots. It's tough for a robot to tell a story.
Yeah.
They can, but not well.
They can, but it's all based on older people's. I saw AI doing it. There was I have a whole episode on coming up about that, like AI and how they wrote it, but it's all algorithm based and it's all based on old scripts,
right?
And it's just not. It's not there.
Yeah, so that's where I think, I don't even know if I'm answering the question now, but I'm interested in what we're talking about.
No, I got you. No, you made a very good answer to it.
But it's being tapped into not just the zeitgeist that's current, but what matters to you. Like, what's frustrating to you, what pisses you off, what's inspiring to you. Because if you're authentic and real about that, you're going to find others for whom that's true as well. And the more you can stick to the truth, the more like specific it is, the more universal it is. So I think we're at an amazing time. And I think if you just keep sticking to your guns and stay in the trenches and keep hustling and huffing, you know, good work rises to the cream of the crop.
Now, tell me a little bit about the book. We've talked a lot about stuff inside the book, but just tell us exactly what the book is. Where can people find it? When is it available?
It's called Story Selling: How to Develop, Market, and Pitch Your Film and TV Projects. It's a Michael Weezy book, and there's a link on my website, heatherhale.com/storyselling, that it's a pre-order on Amazon. So you can order it now, but they don't ship till July. So it's done. It's ready to go. So I don't know what happens in that process of how hard is it to hit print, right? And whoever to like get it to you. But it's coming out, and I have had a lot of people read it, and like I said, not to toot my own horn, but it's really good. I'm really proud of it. I think I have had people who've been in the business 30 years who are like, I would read this for every project. So I'm really pleased with that. And people who've never written anything are like, oh, okay, it's not rocket science, and it's not color by numbers either.
Right,
but there are some steps, and there's some things to think about, and there's a lot of fantastic books out there on everything under the sun, but I didn't feel like there was a book out there that explained these things that we're all scrambling to create all the time: pitch decks, series Bibles, ripomatics. Like, what are these words? How do you pull them together? And do you need a treatment for every project? Like, and what order do they get done in? So, and I talk a lot about, like, you know, it's the affinity, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. It's a never ending process, and it can be development hell, or it can be, I talk about, you know, reduction sauce. You take this huge soup tureen and reduce everything down, take great, fantastic ingredients and get to the essence of each of those elements and let them shine. And that's what you're trying to do. And I also think of, like, kindergarten rooms with feng shui. Like, everything should have a place. You know, mise en place, mise en scene. Everything's got a place. And do you have all the pieces you need, all the elements, so that somebody can help you achieve your dream? Give them the pieces they need to sell on your behalf.
Now I'm going to ask you questions I ask all of my guests.
I should remember this.
What advice would you give a filmmaker wanting to break into the business today?
Get a job.
Get a real job. What are you doing?
No. I would not say
Get
that.
a job in the business, I would say, is a good piece of advice.
It's not a bad advice. I would say, you know, write what you know or write what you need to know. Like, follow that process of discovery so that you're writing stuff that you would want to watch. Surround yourself with really fantastic people. Trust your gut instincts. If someone makes your skin crawl, run. And if you really enjoy someone and they improve your writing, or they're a good collaborator, like, spend time with people that you know, these productions can be, as you well know, just hellacious and grueling, trying. So you want to be surrounded by people who make you laugh, who make you feel good about yourself, who make you step to the plate to create the best work. Don't surround yourself with naysayers and people who make you question yourself and are hypercritical. I mean, it's all about people at the end of the day, not just the people you're working with, and not just, you know, the people you're accountable to, whether they're investors or distributors, but also think about what you're putting out into the communal consciousness. Like, is that something that you want to be part of your legacy? Like, really think about that. You know, put out their images that you want out there. I think people often try to kowtow to the market and what they think is good, but how about what we wish was good? What we wish was out there.
That was,
you know?
that was good. I like that one. That was good. That was a good one. I like that one. That was actually really, really good.
Oh,
now,
good. I had one good thought.
that was it. The rest of it was crap. But
Okay.
this, no. No, that was actually really cool. Can you tell me a book that had the biggest impact on your life or career?
Oh, yeah, I probably shouldn't, because it'll reveal my politics. Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged, and The Fountainhead. I'm a libertarian through and through.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
She's amazing. But, you know, she came from Russia, and she just, you know, so I don't know that we have the American dream right now, or real capitalism, or real democracy, but what we hoped it would be, you know, that's pretty pure in that. And I know there's people who can't stand her.
Hey,
so,
everyone's got I asked you a question. What was the book that impacted you? And that was the book. And that's all good.
Yeah.
Now, what is the lesson that took you the longest to learn, whether in the film business or in life?
I'm probably still learning it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's several things. I guess one of them is life's not fair. You know, I keep wishing. I mean, that's it. It's real. I wish life was fair, and it's not. It's not a meritocracy. You know, the best person doesn't always win, and sometimes it doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how hard you want it. Life isn't fair, and it sucks. But
You just gotta keep. You gotta keep hustling. You gotta keep hustling. You gotta hold on.
If only life was fair.
Oh my gosh, would there be better? There'd be a lot better movies in the world.
Let's write that comedy and that thriller. If life were fair.
Now
and
what is?
Were fast.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, what is the biggest fear you've had to overcome in your career just to kind of make those first few projects?
Oh, well, a million. Of course, I think everybody has the I'm not good enough.
Yes,
right?
imposter syndrome.
So I'm not worried about that issue. I think a huge part of it, this is probably way too truthful, but it's just coming to me. I'm not married because I have suffered so many betrayals and divorces professionally that I'm in a happily committed 11-year rock solid romance. But I think I'm just I feel like I've been divorced 25 times. You know,
I know the feeling.
Right? It's just, I don't want.
Look, when you're with a project for 3, 4, 5 years, and you keep in like, oh, it's almost there. It's almost there. It's almost there. Oh, the money's about to drop.
The rug keeps getting pulled out from under you. You thought they had a ring on it. Like every time, like I've had a project, I was in a pay or play offer, and the first check had cleared, and the contract was signed, and it fell apart. And I didn't get either pay or play. Like, how does that happen? Why is life not fair? Like, I vetted everybody. Like, every project, I get a step further, and then like there's a million ways to get screwed in this business, and I've been screwed by all of them, and I just keep thinking I've run out of them, and the next one, so I don't know what the lesson is there, but you just have to again have people in your life that you can turn to who can help you see the irony and the life lessons and the comedy in the shit that we put up with. Like, there's always a pony there. Maybe it's just not in that room.
Right. Or it's just a couple guys in a horse outfit.
We're in like Horton Hears a Who, and we're looking in all the wrong rooms that are full of shit. Like, there's a pony here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but.
Well, I'm glad this turned into a therapy session. I'm glad I could help you with this. No, listen. I absolutely feel you. I've had so many projects fall apart, but for whatever reason, we're still here. And then I don't know if that says something about the business or us, or both.
I always think of, Gone with the Wind, when Scarlett O'Hara is standing there, and I think it's Civil War, Revolution. It's Civil War.
It's Civil War.
Civil War, and there's all those dead soldiers.
Yeah, and they just
rolling up her sleeves and blowing. That's us, man, in Hollywood, right? And you look around, and you're like, I recognize him from 20 years ago, and I used to hate her guts, but she's a trooper. She's still here. We're gonna be friends. Like, you just. At some point, you see who the survivors are, and that's us, man. That's us.
You know what? And it's so true. And I hope we have not scared off a whole gaggle of people listening to this episode.
All your viewers or your listeners.
No, but you know what? This is the truth of the business. And I'm always like, my mantra is follow your dream, but don't be an idiot. And it's like, I'm all about the positivity and the motivation. You've got to go for it, but you have to be aware of what's out there. And that was the main purpose I even opened up Indie Film Hustle and Bulletproof Screenplay or Bulletproof Screenwriting in the first place, because I wanted this kind of information out there, because it's not taught in schools. It's generally not in books. It's stuff that you hear about at drinks at AFM or in a coffee shop, and you never hear the whole truth.
Know each other. Yeah.
Exactly. You're lucky enough to overhear a conversation like this, and that's why I wanted to bring people like you on the show. So I'm grateful for your honesty and candor.
Well, I'm grateful that you're out there doing this, and I've listened to other ones of your episodes. I mean, they're great. So I'm honored to be on here, and I hope I said stuff that was cathartic to people who feel like idiots, because you're not an idiot. Like, it's happening to the people. The people who got screwed in that other deal were third generation filmmakers.
Oh yeah, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody.
I thought, you know what? They've got credits I'd kill to have, and I saw it coming. And not that my nose hasn't been kicked in many times, but you see them again, and their patterns you can recognize. So just, it's not fair. It sucks. Get over it. And
No, you got
protect yourself and write great stuff and do stuff that makes it at the end of the day worth it.
Yes.
Right? That at the end of all of this, you didn't write some schlock and you didn't throw together some piece of shit that someone else could have done. Like, make it worthwhile.
Without question. And I have one last question. 3 of your favorite films of all time.
Oh, well, always Shawshank Redemption has always been the top.
Yes. It's my top as well.
I think it's my number one. Recently booted from, I think I need to do a list where you have how long they've been on the list.
Sure.
The brand new one is Greatest Showman.
I actually really enjoy Greatest Showman. I loved it.
Loved that. Yeah. Loved it. And then there's a bunch that would be neck and neck for third. And in there would for sure be Waking Ned Divine.
I love Waking Ned Divine. It's such a brilliant little film.
Big Fish is in there.
Big Fish. Yeah, Tim Burton.
And there's a million of them. I have a list. I did a list on my website, top 10 films. And at 231, I had to stop. So now I just go in and sometimes update the top 10. But
I always tell people, if you haven't seen Shawshank Redemption, or if you don't like Shawshank Redemption, you are dead inside, and we can't have a conversation. I've yet to meet someone who didn't like Shawshank Redemption, and even if they did, if they heard me say these things, they probably wouldn't admit to it. But every time, by the way, anyone listening, anytime I get a bad review or someone doesn't like something I do, this is all I Google: bad review Shawshank Redemption. And they exist, and you read these things, and they were from big reviewers, and you just sit there going, wow.
But that's interesting, though. Shawshank is a really good example. I'm not going to say bad branding or marketing.
It was bad. It was bad branding.
Okay.
Horrible title.
I did not want to see Shawshank Redemption. I had no interest in seeing this police or jail drama. Zero interest. It came out. Everyone talked about it. I had no interest. It took me like a year and a half to see Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. And when I did, I can't tell you how many times I've seen it. So that makes me feel better. Again, bad branding, bad advertising, bad marketing, whatever it was. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter because it was so good.
It is. And it's played 1,000 times a day.
Stuff like that. It won't matter if it's poorly branded. It won't matter. All the other stuff, just write shit like Shawshank. That's my advice.
That's the best advice.
Shit like Shawshank. She sells seashells on the seashore.
Yes, like Shawshank.
Like Shawshank.
Heather, where can people find you and your work and your stuff that you do?
HeatherHale.com and Heather at HeatherHale.com. I thought a long time ago, just brand you because you're going to wear lots of hats, right? Yep. And you don't even, the 2 books are How to Work the Film and TV Markets, which is by Focal Press, which is a guide for content creators. And the other is Story Selling, How to Develop, Market, and Pitch Your Film and TV Projects. And my best film and TV projects are ahead of me. They are coming, right? Yes. You don't need to watch anything else. See what we've learned, and we're moving forward.
Yes, mistakes were made, but now we're moving forward.
Yes. Names were taken.
Heather, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and thank you for dropping such honest knowledge bombs on the tribe today. So I appreciate that. I will
rue the day and regret it, but that's who I am. My biggest fault, and there's plenty to choose between.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.